Lewis Hamilton has just sent shockwaves rippling through the Formula One world once again, but this time it's not because of a jaw-dropping overtake or a pole position that left fans breathless. No, what's got everyone in the paddock buzzing this weekend isn't what he did on the track, but what he said once the checkered flag fell. After a dismal and demoralizing outing for Ferrari at the Japanese Grand Prix, Hamilton didn't bite his tongue. He pulled back the curtain and revealed a lingering internal issue with his SF25, a problem that's been haunting his performance since the very first race of the season. And in doing so, he may have just fired the clearest warning shot yet at the Scuderia. If this team wants to battle at the front, something needs to change, and it needs to change immediately. What makes this revelation all the more explosive is the timing. We're still in the opening stretch of the season. Hamilton is barely settling into his new life in red, a life that comes with towering expectations and relentless scrutiny. And yet, here we are, hearing from the man himself that a key component of his car, something buried within the very architecture of his garage setup, simply isn't delivering. Not just underperforming. Broken. Unreliable. Something isn't working right, as he bluntly put it. And that something is not a minor glitch. It's a fundamental flaw Ferrari must address immediately. Not next month, not halfway through the season. No. Because Lewis Hamilton didn't join Ferrari to make up the numbers, or to serve as a ceremonial figure in red. He came to conquer. He came to win championships. And right now, that dream is stuck in first gear. In this video, we're not just talking about a small technical gripe or a moody post-race soundbite. What we're about to unpack is the clearest indication yet that all is not well inside Maranello. From Hamilton's candid post-race statements to the deeper, structural problems affecting the development of the SF25, we're going to peel back the layers and examine what really went wrong at Suzuka, and what it spells for Lewis, for Ferrari, and for the rest of what is already shaping up to be an electrifying, drama-fueled F1 season. So buckle up, because this one's going to be big. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications, because if this is only the beginning of Hamilton's chapter in Ferrari red, the road ahead could be a roller coaster. We are on the verge of witnessing one of the most emotionally charged and technically complex sagas that Formula One has delivered in years. And trust me, this is one you won't want to miss a second of. What's unfolding isn't just a rough patch or a slow start to a season. No, this has the potential to become a defining chapter in the career of Lewis Hamilton and in the modern history of Ferrari. So, let's dive straight into what Hamilton revealed after the Japanese Grand Prix, and why his words are sending shockwaves through the sport. After crossing the finish line at Suzuka in a rather underwhelming P7, trailing both Mercedes drivers and finishing miles off the podium pace, Hamilton didn't dance around the issues. In his post-race debriefs, he was more direct, more transparent, and perhaps more frustrated than we've seen him all year. He made it clear that there's been a persistent, underperforming element on his SF25 since the very first race of the season. But here's where things get even more intriguing and worrying for Ferrari fans. According to Hamilton, this isn't some general flaw in the car or a shared team-wide issue. This specific problem exists solely on his side of the garage. He didn't disclose the exact component, perhaps out of respect for internal team policies or simply to avoid sparking a technical firestorm. But the seriousness of the issue was undeniable in both his tone and his choice of words. This isn't a minor glitch. This is something big enough to create a tangible, consistent performance gap between him and his teammate, Charles Leclerc, who once again crossed the line ahead in P4. Let's take a moment to let that sink in. We're talking about a 7-time world champion, a man who has built his legacy by extracting every last millisecond from whatever machine he's given, openly admitting that he cannot go any faster, not because of a lack of effort, not because of strategy or driver error, but because the car physically won't let him. In Hamilton's own words, "With what I had, that was the best result I could get." That one sentence speaks volumes. It's not an excuse, it's a declaration of fact. Let's break this down further. Through the first 3 rounds of the championship, Hamilton has consistently lagged behind, both in qualifying and race pace. The sole exception was his sprint race victory in China, which, while impressive, came in very specific conditions that don't necessarily reflect the broader race day reality. Initially, many believed the explanation was simple. Hamilton was still acclimating. New team, new car, different handling characteristics, and a fresh engineering crew. A period of transition was expected. But Hamilton's latest remarks have shattered that narrative. This isn't just about getting used to a new cockpit or finding synergy with his race engineer. No, this is a mechanical or possibly aerodynamic disadvantage embedded within his car setup. And perhaps what makes all this even more damning is the broader effect it's having, not just on qualifying, but on full Grand Prix performance. At Suzuka, Hamilton didn't hesitate to say it flat out. The car was maxed out. There was nothing more to extract. But that wasn't the only technical grenade he dropped. He also revealed that Ferrari has been forced to run the SF25 at a higher ride height than originally planned. Why? It's likely a reactionary measure after the debacle in Shanghai, where excessive plank wear led to Hamilton's disqualification. That precautionary adjustment, raising the car, may have spared them from further penalties, but it came at a price. A steep one. Increasing the ride height on a Formula One car almost always compromises aerodynamic grip, especially through fast, flowing corners, and Suzuka is filled with them. That change, while protective from a regulatory standpoint, effectively handicapped the car's ability to generate downforce, the very lifeblood of modern F1 performance. So now, Hamilton finds himself in a perfect storm. A mysterious issue that seems to plague only his chassis, combined with a setup compromise that's stealing grip just when he needs it most. And all this while trying to prove that his move to Ferrari wasn't just a late-career experiment, but a genuine shot at title number 8. What we're witnessing is the early development of a crisis. Not just a technical one, but a psychological one. Hamilton came into 2025 carrying the hopes of a reawakening Ferrari, a team desperate to return to glory. But as of now, that mission is faltering under the weight of faulty components, regulatory scars, and mounting frustration. And the real question now isn't just what Ferrari will do to fix it, but how fast. Because Hamilton didn't come here to be patient. He came to write history. And the clock is already ticking. Stay tuned, because this story is only just getting started. And here's where things get even more aggravating, especially from Hamilton's perspective. While he appears to be coping better than expected with a compromised setup, it's clear he's wrestling with a combination of serious handling issues, increased understeer, diminished rear-end stability, and an incredibly narrow operating window. These aren't just minor annoyances, they're fundamental flaws when you're going head-to-head with the likes of Red Bull, McLaren, and even Mercedes. But that's not all. Hamilton dropped a subtle yet telling hint. The team has, at last, pinpointed the source of this underperforming mystery component. According to him, Ferrari has identified what's been dragging his car down, and there's hope they'll have it fixed in time for the next Grand Prix. Now, let's be realistic. In Formula One, diagnosing a problem is only the tip of the iceberg. Fixing it, verifying that fix, and implementing it under intense time pressure without accidentally triggering a cascade of new complications? That's an entirely different beast. And with the Bahrain weekend just around the corner, that kind of turnaround feels borderline impossible. So, is Hamilton frustrated? Of course he is. And who could blame him? He didn't sign with Ferrari to play catch-up. He joined with one purpose: to win. To take that iconic red suit and chase down a historic 8th world title. But right now, that dream is being buried under mechanical gremlins and a team that, by its own superstar's admission, is simply not fast enough. Here's the harsh truth. According to Hamilton himself, Ferrari is currently the 4th fastest outfit on the grid. That's behind Red Bull, behind McLaren, and yes, behind his former home, Mercedes. And this isn't just a matter of raw pace. It's about trajectory. It's about progress. Hamilton pointed out that Ferrari still falls short in key areas, most notably when it comes to downforce, the invisible force that glues a car to the asphalt and separates contenders from midfielders. In fact, Hamilton estimated that the top teams currently have a 3 to 4 tenths of a second advantage over Ferrari per lap. That's an eternity in modern F1 terms, where a single tenth can be the difference between locking out the front row or lining up on row 3. And that's why the development war is everything. Hamilton didn't just focus on the immediate fix for his personal issue. He emphasized the broader picture, the full season's arc. He underlined the urgency of upgrades not only for the next race, but for every single round that follows. The team, he warned, has to dig deep and push relentlessly, because if they fail to introduce meaningful performance gains soon, they risk falling even further behind as the rest of the grid continues to evolve. Which brings us to the inevitable question: what lies ahead for Lewis Hamilton? We're at a crossroads. If Ferrari can resolve the specific defect in Hamilton's car and start rolling out genuine performance upgrades, then there's hope, real hope, that we'll witness the Hamilton renaissance we all envisioned when he made that earth-shattering move to Maranello. We could see the legend fighting up front, pushing the leaders to the edge, and writing a new, glorious chapter in his storied career. But if not, if the gremlins persist, if the internal garage gap isn't bridged, and if development lags behind expectations, then this brave, symbolic switch to Ferrari could transform into one of the most bitterly disappointing turns in Hamilton's Formula One journey. And let's not overlook one final, crucial detail: the tone of Hamilton's criticism. Calm as it was still public. And in Formula One, a sport built on secrecy, diplomacy, and controlled messaging, that's a big deal. Drivers rarely air dirty laundry. So when a 7-time world champion chooses to speak this openly about a flaw in the car, it's not just a gripe, it's a thunderclap. A statement like that sends tremors through the paddock. It forces Ferrari's engineers, team leaders, and top brass to look in the mirror. It's not just a comment, it's a challenge, an ultimatum, a dare. And now the spotlight shifts. The pressure is on Ferrari. The ball is in their court. Can they give Hamilton what he needs to truly compete at the sharp end? Can they fix the technical demons, close the intra-team gap, and rebuild the trust of one of the most decorated drivers in the sport's history? That's the million-dollar question. Let us know down in the comments. What should be Ferrari's #1 priority right now? Is it the ride height dilemma? The underperforming component? Or is the bigger concern the team's overall development direction? And if you've been enjoying this kind of raw, in-depth analysis of the most dramatic stories unfolding in Formula One, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications, because the saga of Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari Red is only just beginning, and we'll be here for every twist, turn, and heart-pounding moment. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.